G'day guys, my name is Caleb, otherwise known as the Critic Kebab, and the 92nd Academy Awards is just around the corner, and I thought I'd do something new and interesting on the channel. I will be discussing my thoughts on each of the films nominated for Best Picture at this year's Oscars. I will have a playlist with all the reviews, so make sure you check that out, and if you do enjoy the video, please hit that like button. Now, the first film I will be reviewing is 1917. Directed by Sam Mendes, the film stars Dean Charles Chapman and George MacKay as two soldiers in the midst of World War I on April 6, 1917. The story is very simple. The British Army are pushing the German troops back, but it comes to the attention of Army Command that the reason the enemy is pulling back is they are about to spring a trap. As a result, two average and perfectly ordinary soldiers are tasked with the dangerous mission of going deep beyond enemy lines in order to stop 1,600 British troops falling into the Germans' trap. The story is simple, but the reason this film is worthy of your attention is due to the technical mastery of filmmaking on display. This is a truly epic war film that gives you one of the most immersive movie-going experiences. The headline that gets thrown around repeatedly is that this is a technical achievement, and a clickbaity title has never been so warranted because it 100% is. What makes this movie unique is that it is constructed in a way as if to look like it is one continuous shot. Of course there are a few hidden cuts, but the use of the long take is masterful here. A long take in filmmaking is defined as an uninterrupted shot that lasts much longer than the conventional editing pace, and often requires elaborate blocking and significant camera movement. The immensely talented Roger Deakins is the director of photography, and the cinematography in this film is honestly breathtaking. The camera work is essentially flawless, and the use of lighting is so incredibly beautiful and awe-inspiring to look at. This is easily one of the most beautiful films I have ever seen. The use of the one continuous shot could have easily become a gimmick, but there is so much on offer in this film. Its exploration of character through action, the high-stakes plot that doesn't waste a second of time, as well as the technical aspects all coming together perfectly, establishes the foundation for a great movie. Also, it's important to note that this isn't a war movie that relies on gunfights. Yes, they are in here, but at its core, this is a soldier's story that takes place on the tragically epic battlefield of World War I. The environment feels scarily realistic, and the film does a fantastic job of transporting you to that World War I setting and taking you on this journey that has high stakes, emotionally impactful themes and characters, and powerful music. Thomas Newman composed the score, and it is expertly used throughout. Not only does the music help carry the emotional feeling of the scenes, but it increases the tension constantly, which gives you that sense of urgency throughout the entire runtime. Of course, this is a recommendation from me, so if you haven't seen it, check it out in theaters. Now, this marks the end of the spoiler-free part of the review, so if you don't want to get spoiled, now is your time to leave. I will still be giving my letter grade at the end of the video. First, on the spoiler agenda, I would love to discuss the acting, but more importantly, the casting. Dean Charles Chapman and George MacKay are both phenomenal and bring a great sense of innocence and truth to their roles. But what really stood out to me was the casting of Colin Firth, Mark Strong, and Benedict Cumberbatch. Our two main actors are not huge stars, so when they are called into action, there is that underdog mentality. But when Firth, Strong, and Cumberbatch came on screen, because they are all very well-established actors, there is that sense of immediate respect for the character. Casting talented and respected actors in positions of power was a very compelling choice to me, and if anyone else feels the same way, let me know down in the comments below. Andrew Scott as that funny, carefree lieutenant towards the beginning of the film was also terrific. Another moment that really stood out to me, and it actually gets addressed twice in the film, was the concept of medals in the army. Receiving a medal for a specific act during service has always been seen as a good achievement, but the perspective taken in this narrative is that they are not that special. The line, "nothing like a medal to cheer up a widow," as well as the conversation between Schofield and Blake about exchanging the medal for a bottle of wine, really opened me up to another perspective, and I thought that this was a really interesting concept that not only built out these characters, but also provided some interesting social commentary. Speaking of perspective, whenever you watch a movie, you're always watching the story unfold from a specific character's perspective. And this film, very much so, starts you off in the mindset of Blake. The mission involves his brother, he does most of the talking, and he is often walking or positioned in front of Schofield as they go out on their journey. This subtly communicates to the viewer he is the lead, and I believe this was even more reinforced when Schofield gets buried under the rubble, as well as stabbed by the barbed wire, and then when he accidentally places his cut hand in the dead corpse. To me, this suggested Schofield wasn't going to make it, and that he was disposable. So the moment when that all gets flipped on its head, and it's actually Blake who is disposable, it hits me so much harder on an emotional level, because it catches you off guard. Blake's death scene was heartbreaking and incredibly acted, but it is at this point the narrative shifts perspectives, and now from this point onwards we are in the point of view of Schofield. This POV concept is also paid off at the end, whereby the final shot of the film matches up with the very first shot of Schofield leaning up against the tree, indicating the story started and ended with him. Now, when we get to the middle of the film, which is called the midpoint, we get that clear and obvious cut to black. The first half of the film has a steady momentum, and the pacing is consistent despite the ups and downs the characters go through. Once Schofield confronts that German sniper and is knocked out, we lose that momentum. Because Sam Mendes is utilizing the long take, the audience gets into a rhythm because they are so immersed in the world, and as a result, this harsh cut is far more effective in communicating the story on screen. This is just such clever use of film language. Now, let's move on to some of the moments at the end of the movie. The scene where Schofield runs across the battlefield as the first wave goes out? Epic. The music, the imagery, the acting, it's all phenomenal. And once I reached this moment, it emotionally affected me in a very unique way. I felt proud, terrified, anxious, I had extreme goosebumps, and I was also a little teary-eyed. But I also had an uncontrollable smile because I could not believe what I was watching. It was so epic. Lots of crazy emotions just for this one moment, and it is stuff like this that makes me love movies and love going to the cinema. And finally, when Schofield meets Tom's brother, this was a heart-wrenching moment to witness. Richard Madden is a terrific actor, and again, fantastic casting for this brief scene. But I loved the moment when Schofield hands over Tom's belongings, and his brother just leaves his hand out and can't bring himself to accept it. The disbelief and pure sadness in his face was very evident, and I absolutely loved this scene, not only because it was so well acted, but because it is fulfilling storytelling. This entire journey has been about stopping the troops attacking and finding the brother, and to finally come face to face with him and have that personal victory despite the casualties was a great feeling for you as the viewer, but also Schofield as well. And his final moment looking at the photo of his partner and daughter left me fully satisfied. I absolutely adored this film from start to finish. Illustrating trench warfare of World War I in brutal fashion, 1917 delivers not only a war film, but a soldier's story that is emotionally resonant, awe-inspiring, truly epic, and essentially flawless. With perfect sound design, music, and cinematography, this technical achievement is worthy of celebration. This for sure has a chance of winning the Best Picture Oscar. If I had to describe this film in only one word, masterpiece. I'm giving 1917 an A+. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, and if you are new to the channel, click that subscribe button, and make sure notifications are turned on. What did you think of 1917, and do you think it will win the Best Picture? Let me know down in the comments below. And make sure you're checking out my other reviews for the Best Picture nominees. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.